Alright. Hey, I'm Aqua or Aquarius of Fallen Snow if you don't know me. Welcome to this episode of my podcast, The Shit Shooting Gallery. Happy to have you back if you've been here before. So, social media is kind of a crazy place, eh? I don't know, the world in general is a pretty crazy place, especially lately it feels like, but I don't know, I've been spending a bit of time on social media since I've been up here in Quebec and just the amount of stuff I see that just seems like propaganda or people's ideas or perspectives of the world that just seem so like I don't know, kind of strange to me. And I understand that there's like a level I should have a level of acceptance for everyone in the world and different ways of living, but I don't know, there's something that kind of grinds my gears against someone telling somebody else how to live or the right way to live, I guess. It might not even be them explicitly saying, but just them like showing how they live, and they say, especially with religion, right? And I'm not trying to say any one religion specifically, but just this idea that, oh, I'm religious and I'm doing my part by following whatever text says or whatever these other people say. Oh, I'm just doing what they tell me to do, so I'm living a good life or I'm doing it right. But how many people are genuinely like making these decisions in their life because they want to, like because they see the value in it for themselves, not just people pleasing for the people in their religion or for a god or something. They're not just trying to please a god, you know what I mean? And I think that's where people talk, like, that's how people get to this idea of false prophets or, God is within, right? Like, that connection with God should be within yourself if you do want to have one. It shouldn't be, oh, I go to church or I go to this building and I pray or I do these things. I do this whole list of whatever it is, and now I'm good, and now I get into heaven, and now I'm a good person, so I can do whatever in my life. It's like, no. Sorry about the camera there. I think it's because it's kind of low light. There we go. But yeah, that was just one of the things I've been seeing, and I have some other things written down as notes here. But I feel like social media is such an interesting place to see other people's perspectives, but then so much of it isn't them genuinely having their own thoughts, but it's just them regurgitating the shit that's either already been talked about or, where are the original thoughts, you know what I mean? Where are the original ideas that you're adding to it from what you've read or your lived experience that can kind of add to your story or add to your own experience, you know what I mean? I think that gets missed a lot of the time is truly like living the life living a life that you want to instead of the one that is laid out for you to live. You know what I mean? And I feel like a lot of um, children of immigrants or first born in a new country, first generation born in a new country, I should say, feel the same kind of pressure with their parents or family life where they're told, okay, well, we're coming to this new country or we came to this new country. You were born, so now you have to continue the family legacy or you have to become a doctor or an engineer or whatever it is to have a good career, have a good life, basically make us proud and do the things that we weren't able to do in our lives. But that takes away the responsibility from the child to actually be an individual, have their own thoughts, and come to their own conclusion on things. You know what I mean? I think the exact same thing can happen with, parents raising their children to be religious or to be Catholic or Muslim, Jewish, whatever it is. but they're not actually giving their child that ability to choose what they want to be. And I'm so grateful that my parents didn't raise me religious, even though my father was raised going to church. He was raised Christian. And I think my mom's side as well was a little bit on the Christian side, but they both decided, like, no, we're not going to continue with this. We're going to live our own lives how we want to live them, not going to church, not following this faith laid out by other people, but basically building our own faith, our own system. And I was talking about it with my mom yesterday in terms of like the differences between communism and capitalism and how, the system doesn't really seem to make a difference when the individuals in power are so easily corruptible, or the problems with the system always seems to be the individuals in power getting the resources and holding on to them and then not sharing them or not redistributing them like they talk about whatever it is. But how much of that is the actual individuals? I don't know. I find myself coming to this thought a lot that, like, government doesn't work, the people do, right? The whole point of the government is supposed to be made of the people for the people. And in my mind, that sounds like community, right? But then with these capitalist values, or with these values of only looking to money or only looking to gaining more in your life but not looking to give back or not looking to share it all, I think then we run into fundamental issues of greed, of taking more than we need and not sharing, or not. It kind of devalues the idea of community, or even having people around you that you share with, or that you could trade resources with, whatever it is. But it puts so much emphasis on, oh no, I have this thing, so now I need to trade it for the money that I spent on it so I can get the money, and like perpetuate this system. But it doesn't really seem to make sense, you know what I mean? It seems like everybody's perpetuating something that they're not genuinely, like, I don't know if they're not fully bought into it, or they don't fully believe it in themselves, or they're just like trying to people please and do what they think is right in life. But what does that mean? You know what I mean? Like, I think people are individuals. They should be looked at as individuals with free will to choose the actions they take, with consequences to those actions. Every action has ripples, be that good or bad, or, the consequences to those actions, right? And before I started this podcast, a post that I saw that made me want to start recording. Also, real quickly, I'll say, sorry I'm in the basement with the poor lighting, and I have to be a bit more quiet down here because my mom's still sleeping upstairs. Because the temperature actually dropped to -10 when we woke up this morning, so pretty chilly, and almost a 20-degree drop from yesterday or 2 days ago. So I would like to do more sunroom podcasts, but we'll have to see if the weather cooperates, basically. But, sorry, getting back on topic here, the post I saw before I started recording this was a couple, I guess. It was a white woman talking to a black male, I guess, for lack of better words. And she sits down and she asks him, like, okay, why do minorities, when they act out or they do something, they get looked at as the whole group of that minority, but when cops or men do something, then it's not all men, or it's not all cops? And I thought it was a really interesting point to make, because I agree that in our society, in our culture, we can tend to group people together based on certain factors, right? Whether it's skin color, whether it's sex, religion, whatever it is. But individuals should be looked at as individuals, right? With free will to choose the actions they take. with the consequences to those actions, right? Alright, sorry, Instagram was being weird there and I didn't want to pull it up, but I found the post in my my activity feed and I found the comment. So I said, yes, cops only protect private property and are protected by the elite. Men rarely take accountability for their actions and pass the blame, but all individuals should be looked at as individuals with free will and consequences to their actions. Corporations and governments, especially being groups of individuals with specific reasons for the actions being to benefit the organization, not all individuals collectively. And then I replied to my own comment and I said, fuck the gov and the 1% that's funding as well. Lol. Because I haven't said that in a while. Fuck the gov and the 1% that's funding, because they're not the people for the people. They're sponsored by the fucking corporations, getting lobbied and funded by them, and it's fucking up the whole thing, right? So I thought that was super interesting. But yeah, why don't we look at why can't we just look at everybody as an individual, but realizing we have a lot more similarities with everyone than we do differences? You know what I mean? We're all made of water, and I've said this in so many episodes of my podcast and different iterations of my content because I truly believe this. We have more similarities than differences, right? We're all made of water, we all bleed the same color. Why does it matter the color of our skin, right? We're all made of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, the most abundant particles in the universe. We are it as it is us. That is God. You know, God should be, like, when you realize that story, that is Christ consciousness. God, in my mind, should be a synonym for life, death, and cycles, everything and nothing. Sorry. Oh, I hate when my camera does this. It should be cycles, everything and nothing, and the infinity of that, you know, the natural cycles of the universe. Yeah, I gotta remember to breathe through this shit. Oh my god, technology pisses me off so much. Because you think it's supposed to work, and of course, it never works how it's supposed to, or it never works properly, because there's always bugs and issues and things that need to be fixed, and every time you fix an issue, then there's more things that become issues because of that. And it's a piss off, and I really hate technology because of that, but I guess that's life, not just technology. But yeah, I don't know. I do want to do a few separate scripted videos on a few topics I have written down here in my notes, because I have been having a few thoughts here and there. I've just been taking notes of stuff, and some of them being like, what are the most common addictions, being like looking at work, weed, and alcohol, and some questions like, and I think some of these may pop up because of questions we ask ourselves like, who am I? Why am I here? What is my purpose in life? And then we fall into this habit of capitalism, or just working to pay bills, not truly living the lives that we want to because we want to live them, doing what we want to do, but just doing, again, what we're told to do, right? And I think that's how addiction pops up most of the time, is us not truly feeling right in our bodies or our lives. But how much of that is us not understanding or acknowledging ourselves and our own thoughts, and how much of that is the system built up around us to purposely keep us in this situation or position. You know what I mean? And a few more things I wrote down here, like, I think when we look at individuals, we really have to look at, like, how people were raised. Look at their, look at their gender, but more from the understanding of not trying not to put the gender roles on people. You know what I mean? And then you also need to look at if people have siblings or they're only children. And then looking at my parents, my dad, who's a male, he grew up with brothers, with siblings. You know, he's more physical, less emotional, but that could be not only from the sex or the gender, but then also because of the situation he was raised in, also being raised religious, right? And then looking at my mom's side, where she's obviously a woman, a female, she was an only child, but because of her family, she kind of had sisters, kind of not, like, I forget how it works. I think it was like her cousins or her aunts or something treated her as a sister, but they weren't the best family to her, and they were kind of abusive in their own way. So she developed this, like, I don't know, maybe develop more antisocial behaviors, or cutting people off who weren't beneficial to her life or who were hurting her, which I completely understand. But again, I think there has to be a level of understanding, looking at individuals not only as the actions they take in their lives at the moment, in the moment, but then also how they got to that point to make those decisions, right? And then you look at me, I am a male, right? Oh my god. Sorry. Okay. I think we're good. And then looking at myself, right? I'm a male. I was raised an only child. More or less pretty calm and docile. Bro, this is actually gonna fucking cheese me. I should have got my light out. One sec. Oh my god, I'm gonna lose my fucking mind. Oh my god, I'm actually going to disintegrate myself. Oh my fucking god. Please end my suffering. Holy fuck. Okay, we're good. Oh my god. Yeah, man, technology actually pissed me off so damn much. I guess I should have done this in the first place. But I thought natural light coming through the window and not having the light on behind me backlighting me was gonna be good enough. But no. And that's another thing that pissed me off. It's like, why can't things just be good enough how they are? Why does everything always have to be better? Or why can't it just be, like, why couldn't the camera in the computer just been good enough to pick up on the fucking lighting? Why couldn't the fuck... Okay, that actually frustrated me quite a bit, so I'm gonna take a little break from this for a second, go for a smoke, and come back and see if I have any realizations or whatever, because, yeah, I know it's not good and I'm giving into my addictions, whatever, but at the same time, I feel like weed, and now since I mix it with tobacco, I guess both of them help me more focus, get back to the center, recenter, breathe, and not get so stressed out about the little bullshit, because even before I was smoking, even before I ever tried weed and tobacco, I would still get pissed off at little shit like this, because it doesn't make sense that the little shit like this would keep fucking up, and it's so frustrating to have little shit like this fuck up when I'm on a path and I'm trying to do something and you gotta work out all the things. But I gotta look at it as challenges and not get so frustrated, so I'm gonna go have a smoke quick and I'll be right back. Alright, I'm good. Like I said to Ray before when I was beefing with him, this is just me, man. This is who I am, this is how I live. And I feel like most of my issue comes from the fact that I more or less know how I want to live my life or what I want to do with my life, But the issues come about from people telling me, oh, I don't have the money to do that, or I won't make enough money from doing whatever I'm doing to make it work, or I'll run into issues like my camera not working, so I have to solve the issue, find a solution, right? And I don't necessarily mind finding solutions and trying to work through the problems, but there gets to be a level where I don't know, this was not a huge issue, right? It's just something that happens often enough, once in a while, but often enough that it is quite frustrating. But it's not on a societal level where it's like, oh, you have to work a job to make money to support yourself. It's like, why? Why can't I just have a fucking cabin out in the woods somewhere? Nobody knows I'm there, then I'm not bugging anyone. Grow enough food for myself, have some solar or whatever electricity power, and there you go. Bob's your uncle. You're chilling. But I don't know. Apparently that's a big issue because then you're not paying your taxes. Then you're not contributing to society. It's like, fuck that. I don't care. Maybe that's not my role in this world. Maybe I'm not meant to contribute to society. You know, that's like Diogenes the Cynic, right? Like, maybe his role was just to talk shit to people, and that's what we remember him for, right? Like, because I don't know, I had this idea where I think it would be pretty cool to try and travel across Canada, live nomadically, and see what different communities I can come across and try to learn from different people and see how other people live, right? I personally would like to try and take the best parts of, everyone's different life or all these different communities and try and incorporate them into a good system that would truly work for everyone, not just focusing on these, oh, well, the system works in this way, or it works 10% or 20% of the time, whatever. I guess, even if it works 70% of the time, that's still 30% of the time that there are issues or there's things that need to be looked at, worked through, bugs or errors that need to be ironed out in the system. Why can't we look at that 30% and try to come up with solutions for that and try to fix or, in French it's améliorer, make it better? Why can't we improve the system that we already have, rather than, trying to completely destroy it and build something new, or say, oh, this system doesn't work, so let's completely shift it? It's like, why can't we incorporate values of all systems and just literally make a mixing pot, but then choose the best parts? Right? And look at people as individuals, but collectively, we are all individuals living together with our own points of view and our own ways of living. But, it's a live and let live system. Like, if you're living your life, you're not harming people or other living creatures, you're just living, chilling. Why would there be an issue with how other people see you living your life? You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, there are no issues, but I think we also have to be wary of, wary. We have to be wary of, be aware of it, not weary, because weary is like sleepy, right? Tired. We have to be wary of stuff like Stockholm Syndrome or people pleasing or just living our lives to other people's standards, but not truly living them because we're doing what we want to with our lives. You know what I mean? And I think that's something we should definitely be focusing on, is what do we want to do as individuals? We wake up every day. Okay, what do we choose to do with our lives today? Right? I don't know, and I tried coming up with my own, school of thought or philosophy, whatever you want to call it, a while back, where I was thinking about, okay, my last name, Demay, or Day, if you shortened it, abbreviated it, right? If we said Deism or Demayism, D-A-Y, not deity deism, right? Can we look at it as waking up every day and figuring out what you want to do with your life that day, in that moment, in the present, but not in a sense of like, oh, well, yesterday I did this thing, so today I'm going to do this thing, and tomorrow I'm going to, and, you know, sure, I guess if you want to, you can get in a loop of doing the same things, but everything in moderation, right? I think you should take breaks, like, especially with my art, right? I would love to do art or make art every day, but I have to make art in different mediums because I can't just stick to only making music or only painting, because eventually it gets stale, or I get in my own head of, if you're just doing the same things all the time, how do you know if how do you know if you're innovating, or how do you know if you're doing something different or new or fresh, if you're not living life, getting other experiences that you can then come back and incorporate to the paintings, the music, whatever it is, right? And that's a big part of why, especially on YouTube, I have podcast episodes, vlogs now, lyric breakdown videos of my music, all these different things and different types of content, because that's what I'm feeling like making at that point in time, right? That's why you can see I go through periods of making a lot of short form content, making a lot of music, painting a lot, whatever it is. But that's because I'm choosing what I want to be making and doing with my life in the moment, not just saying, oh, well, I need enough money to pay my bills and survive, so, well, I guess I have to go to work today. Like, nah, man, that's some bullshit. That's some Stockholm Syndrome type shit. But again, that comes down to realizing how people are raised, how people live their lives differently, but also realizing that a lot of people don't think for themselves and they just do what people tell them to do, or they just listen to their teachers or whoever. But everybody has to get to a point in their lives where they learn to live and think for themselves, so that they can eventually give back to other people, right? You fill up your cup so that you can fill up other people's in the future, right? You don't try to fill other people's cups up before yours are full, because then you're just emptying yourself out and you have no energy to take care of yourself, right? And that's basically what it comes down to, right? Can we take care of ourselves? Can we focus on ourselves enough to know what we truly need in our lives to take care of ourselves, to get to a point where we can then take care of other people? And I don't know, I guess people struggle with this, or it's kind of baked into our society to kind of drain yourself of all the energy, to work yourself to the bone, to get to the point where you're exhausted and then you have no more energy to give back to anybody else or to the community, to society on a deeper level. And I think that's part of the whole system, is that it's built to drain our energy. And I think that could kind of link back to that idea of looshing, stealing energy from people, right? You know, when people say energy vampires, that's kind of what they mean. In my mind, it's kind of capitalism in a nutshell, or people being at a hierarchical level, like someone like Zuckerberg or Bezos, where they have all these people working under them, working to the bone, barely even not even being able to take like bathroom breaks or whatever. They have fucking ankle monitors on tracking their movements, just so Bezos can sit on a yacht somewhere and not have to think about that shit or not have to worry about it. What the fuck are we talking about? You know what I mean? Like, it gets to a point where the people at the top only worry about the stakeholders and the fact that, or perpetuating the company making enough money so it's term over term profits and gains, and it's never enough, you know? And I think that's like a fundamental problem. And I think that's like a fundamental problem with our society and system as a whole, like, and just people's thinking in general is thinking that they never have enough or that things aren't good enough how they are, you know? Like, I guess me, I tried to start doing this podcast without enough light because I thought, okay, I can live with this amount of light, but the camera can't live with that amount of light because then it's flickering and whatever. Okay, so then I adapt, I solve the problem, and we keep going because I'm doing what I want to do. I want to keep podcasting. So I might get frustrated at it. Let me have a quick smoke, recenter, refocus, and then we keep going, right? We solve the problem and we move on. But my throat is starting to get sore, so I'll start to wrap it up here. I think this has been a decent episode and I've covered a good amount of topics that have been floating around on my mind for a few days now, or a little bit. I haven't done a podcast in a little bit, and it's nice to get back into this medium or form of content creation where I can just kind of speak what's on my mind openly and not have to worry about too much editing or chopping it up like the vlogs, which I started doing. And if you're not subscribed, I highly suggest checking out my channel and going and watching those. Because I'm still up in Quebec and I'll probably still be here for another few days. I want to help my parents get a few more things done around the house. And then I'll probably head back to Ontario and get back on my usual schedule or routine of things. But until then, I hope you guys enjoy the vlogs and the content that I've been making. And yeah, if you enjoyed this podcast episode, make sure you leave a like and subscribe, not only to help us grow the community and help with the algorithm, but then you don't miss any of the new episodes of the podcast or the vlog that come out in the future. Not to mention, I would really appreciate it, and it means the world because I truly want to give back to the world, but the only way I really know how is with my art and my content at this point. So until I can figure out a better way of doing it, this is kind of where I'm at for now. But I don't mind, I enjoy doing it, and if I can kind of put my ideas into a contextual form or a content form that makes it easy for people to take it in and kind of think about the things that I'm talking about, then I'm grateful and I appreciate it, you know? That's all I really want in life. And one last thing, we did hit 40 subscribers. Thank you to everybody who subscribed so far, and to everybody who will see this in the future. Our next goal is 50 subscribers, so subscribe and help us get to that even. But yeah, that being said, I'll leave this episode of the podcast here for now. If you enjoyed it, you can even check out the playlist that I'll have linked at the end of the video. And I'll quit my rambling for now, but like I say in all my videos, I love you, stay safe, good luck, and take it easy.